Amen. All right. So yeah, guys, I'm super excited to be here. I'm sure in the audience, are we good, blessed and excited to be here? Yeah. You guys looking forward to it? Woohoo! I am really excited. And just to set the scene, right? A lot of us will sit in our small groups. The ladies always have this candid conversations around dating and relationship. It's really high stakes. You know, on Twitter, you'll hear people talk about, you know, umjolo, the true pandemic. Not the corona that we've been having, but the dating and relationship is the true, you know, is the true pandemic. And it's just been so difficult. And the reason why it is that people feel like there's so many rules. They feel like there's so many pitfalls around the dating and relationship scene. You know, you talk about the dating scene, you know, the social scene around dating. You talk about contemporary Christian culture. You know, you talk about the kingdom culture. You talk about everything that you can think of. And people are just saying, but which one is true? Right? And there's so much fear that a lot of people in the church, in the world, will even date in secret, right? Because they're afraid to say, "Ooh, it does not sit well with Chidi." Chidi says, "No, that's not how you're supposed to do stuff." You know, Ruzani is saying that, "No, man, when I did it so many years ago, this is how I did it." You know, and there's just that whole thing and unsettlement with people that, and it's really important that we have this conversation. So we then, when we were sitting over that lunch one day and we were talking about it, we said, you know, let's have a platform. Let's open it up just to have a different lens. The ladies are sitting, and I'm sure the guys are doing that. Guys in the room, I'm sure you talk about dating and relationships. No, not really. Yeah, and there's always this thing of, you know, who's pursuing who? You know, it's always exciting, right? You know, who's in the dating scene at this point in time. So after that session, I think there was a call to the pastors to say, can we have a true conversation? And here we are really coming to just have a chat from a different lens. The folks that are here on the panel list, give it up for my panelists. They're actually all married, but we just want to have just a look at that to say, you know, how does it look like now than what it looked like in their days? So thank you so much for this ministries. Pastors are amazing. I think they jumped onto it and say, guys, do what you have to do, right? Do what you have to do. But thank you so much for the platform, and we're really excited about that. And I'll just go around the room for our panelists. So maybe if you can just introduce yourself and just test your voice a little bit to say, what gets you excited about this dating and thing, and what do you feel like we want to get out of from this conversation? And I'll start probably from my left, Oluetu. Yeah. And when last you dated, maybe that would be good.
Thanks, Muneiwa. Good morning, everyone. My name is Oluetu. I'm a man of one wife. Yes. Yeah, I've been married 13 plus years now. And, you know, I haven't been in the dating scene for years. But yes, I've also heard it is a pandemic. It's an extreme sport. But you know, I believe, you know, there's a way to win in this area too, you know. So I'm hoping that we can impart, you know, some wisdom and some of our knowledge, you know, on this topic that will help someone. Yeah. Amen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda, and I have been married almost 9 years. For me, I agree 100% with Muneiwa. I mean, I have a lot of conversations with my sisters over lunch, over drinks, over tea, always about dating and boys and men. And oftentimes, it almost feels like there's a gap between the married people and people that are single. So I'm excited to share, and I'm hoping that we can bridge that gap, because we were all there. We dated, we were boyfriend and girlfriend before we got married. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from the panelists and sharing with everyone. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Chidi. I've been married for over 12 years, and if I'm to do it, I'll do it again. And make sure I do exactly what I do to locate her and be with her forever. I'm enjoying it.
Wow.
I think it's a different day. I'll tell my whole story of how I navigated and got her in.
Yay! Today is that day, right? Today is that day.
But,
and I think I'll come back to you on that. Yes. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ayanda. I'm always nervous about such things because, people have such different experiences and people are so different. But I'm so curious as to what people will say. Yeah. But I know that I have my own experiences as well, and maybe that will resonate with someone. And I think maybe that's where I'm coming from. I know it might not necessarily be a hard and fast, but I'm hoping it will. So yes, I'm a wife to but one husband. To but one husband, and yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. And my name is Rutsani. I've been married now for 10 years. I guess my journey is kind of the typical sort of journey, in that it's somebody that I knew from, I feel like from almost just closing the teens to, marrying her at the first possible opportunity. In fact, got engaged when she was in varsity, and we got married when she started working. So it's the typical kind of story. But because of that, it also means that the majority of my friends have not been married. So
where are they? How? This guy. But we've been asking.
I didn't know it was a setup session. That was not the brief. But yeah, I guess the importance of that is that I guess I've had an observer seat in people in their mid and later 30s, in how they are navigating the dating scene and what they're actually doing, what's working, what's not, what has gone really well, what has gone really, really badly. Because for the longest time, I think we're the only people married in our social sort of circle. So yeah, happy to share insights from some of those observations and kind to bring them to the fore. Yeah. And I guess the difference perhaps is when a lot of the guys talk, I think is strategizing how to. So it's less talking about relationship, but okay, you like her, what are you going to do? Yeah. And kind of holding you accountable to actually do some things. Yeah. How did it go, and so forth and so forth. So everyone is talking about Njolo, I guess. Yes.
Everyone is talking about that. So I'm really excited about this panelist, and I think there is really good insights that we're going to get from this. And maybe I think I need to be clear, even from the onset. The dating that we are talking about is when somebody says, I have a good life and I'm ready for companionship, right? I am ready that I can add into someone's life and that person can add into my life as well. And that's the dating that we are talking about, that, let's explore this another soul that's out there. So I think I needed to put that caveat there, because I know people now are doing dating for many reasons, that people are just doing it for just hookups or whatever it is. So this one that we are talking about in this specific conversation is about, I'm ready, I've got a good life and I want to transition, eventually, meet somebody that I would potentially get married to. So I think it's clear, hey. So yeah, guys, so dating is a thing and relationships are a thing. And the audience, you can then interact with us as well. So there is a WhatsApp number. Add your question, your comment if you feel like there's something really, really burning. The WhatsApp group is there for you. Send through your questions and we will have Q&A at the end of the segment or at the end of the session. Cool. So yeah, so dating is a thing and relationship is a thing. And I want to just double click on what Chidi was saying, right? You were talking about this pursuit in dating and how you eventually then crossed the line and said, I found somebody that will be my wife. So what did it mean for you at that time? Were you clear that this dating is leading to marriage? And what do you think is now different from the culture that we are in the context of dating?
Thank you so much, Muneiwa. I think for me, mine wasn't the typical. I was ready and then searching, had my eyes open. And that's where a lot of times you could have so many friends, but when you now want to find the pearl in the midst of all of them, it's not as straightforward as you think. And I think for myself, it might sound easy, but the first time I saw my wife, I just called a friend and I said, I found my wife. The first time I saw her. But then I didn't go to her to say, I had to now, I don't know, my philosophy is you should have a broad-based friendship and allow the atmosphere for the people to express themselves. Because if I had gone straight to her, she might not express fully who she is. So I had to create a broad-based platform where I could interact more with her. And my philosophy, I'm just telling you what I did, is to allow that transit up until I got to the peak of the pyramid. So what I did was, I met with her, I told her there was something, this is me, I'm not saying you should do that, but I told her, I'm not interested, I'm engaged, and there's somebody. So we're just...
Hey, so you lied. It's true.
I'm telling you. I'm not telling you that's what you do, but I'm telling you, I told her I'm not... We're just friends in her midst, with people around her. I'm telling you, I don't want to sound spiritual. I'm just telling you what I did, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Yeah. But I allowed we were all friends. And she knew there was nothing. She was expressing herself, and I was expressing myself. And it allowed her to express herself with no intent. She knew that I wasn't pursuing.
And I want Ayanda then to come in. Did we mention that they are married? So they are married, and I wanted to weigh in this conversation because what's happening currently, right, around, there's a guy that shows interest. As women, I don't know whether, the people here do it, but we are so quick to say, oh yeah, dude, here's my number, here's my address, here's my credit score, here's my, my blood type, and, because you think that that's where the effort is being directed. And I want you to just come in on this point and just to share a little bit that, do you think then in him doing that, there was effort being shown, or was it quick as well for you to say, I met my husband, thank you, Jesus? Yeah, you know how we're quick to do that.
Funny enough, no. It wasn't, I was very much scared of relationships. I was not pro-relationships at all, which is very weird. I had a plan in my mind, and I told myself I'm going to work, I'm going to be a missionary, and then at 50 years I'm going to adopt. So I already had a plan in mind, and a male person was not part of that plan. As a result, I remember when I got a hint that he might be interested, I was so angry. I was like, how could he deceive me like this? How could he? And obviously, something is already working inside as well to say, and I'm there fighting it. And he's right that if he had come in all in like fully expressing himself, I might possibly have run away at that point. And when we did sort of just take time to really be friends amongst a group of people, it sort of made it easier and also made it possible for me to see, oh, okay, this is the type of person he is. Actually, a lot of the things that he was, I could see some of the prayers that I'd made earlier on and say, oh, okay, yeah.
And it was very clear, and I want to bring in this point of clarity. And a lot of the single people will say, we'll meet a guy or a girl, and you know, they're vibing, this chemistry, we're friends. And along the way, you ask, because as women, I don't know where we get it from, but you know, you'll ask, what are we? You know, what's happening? What are we doing? I'm hanging out with you. And I've had an experience where a guy literally told me that, what do you mean? We are children of God. What else do you want from this? And I want perhaps maybe Olwe to just come in on this point to say, you meet and it's this instance where either you are friends and you're vibing and there's chemistry, but at what point are you very clear that this is it, I've met the one?
Good question. Yeah, so vibing and chemistry and going out and getting to know each other a lot better, it's really, really important. It's really important in the one party, you know, being interested in the other's conversation, and that's all speaks of chemistry and vibing. It's important. It also establishes some form of friendship, but at some point we need to just make sure we clarify things. You know, I asked my wife, so it's not advisable to, you know, be in a situation whereby it's not clear, things aren't defined. You haven't asked, you know, if she'll be your girlfriend or she, you know, and even the lady, she's allowed to ask, where is this going? You know, we've been hanging out for the past 3 months, but Chidi, where is this going? You know, she's allowed to do that, and I would encourage that.
Yeah, and when that asking comes, Linda, when Chidi, you wanted to say something just before?
Yes, sorry to come in. It exactly happened to us. Because we're just, my prayer, I've been praying for, I'd seen my parents' marriage, and from a tender age of maybe 13, I'd been praying for who my wife would be. Sometimes what I will do is, God, maybe she's struggling now, help her. I don't know what she's doing. Just praying. And praying for her parents.
Why are the single girls laughing? Are they not praying for those kind of prayers?
And one thing I knew I prayed is, I want my wife to be my best friend. I want her to be my very close friend. And I remember when we went to Gold Reef City, and at the end of the whole thing, I was to drop her. I was taking her home. So I told her, you are truly my friend. You are, and hey, it now. Yeah. She became so upset. I think she will explain. It became so. She was upset with herself. I don't know if it was that day or the following day that I had to explain. She will tell you, but exactly, she was like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
Why are you saying? Why are you saying I'm your friend? Why are you saying I'm a friend?
And when he asked that question of what are we doing,
it wasn't him. He's clarifying, but it wasn't him. Because he said, you are my very good. I said, I'm your friend. We're out here holding hands in Gold Reef City. Holding hands. I said to him, I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood the situation up in here.
Yeah.
Because we done held hands for the first time today, and you're telling me
that we're just
you're a great friend.
And it is happening, right? So many experiences as well. This one friend of mine calls me and says, I've been the same situation. I've been holding hands with this guy and all is going well. We go to an event. This guy introduces me as his homegirl. And maybe, I don't know, and maybe it's the language of these days. I want to be like, oh, no, this is, I don't know whether guys do that, and Linda wants to say something, jump into that. I don't know whether guys do that and introduces, you know, to say, my girlfriend, or we're dating. She was so hurt in that, to say home girl. Like, what does home girl mean even? So Linda, you just want to jump into that?
Yeah, I think I just want to add, because I've also been in the same situation as Ayanda. So my husband and I were friends in Cape Town for maybe about almost 18 months. And for me, at the point I realized that we both have feelings for each other, that's the point that I wanted clarity. I wanted him to say what we are, but we were not kind of clear with each other. And I got an opportunity to move to Johannesburg with a new job. And I promise you, if we were clear, I possibly would have stayed in Cape Town. But we weren't. And I made it clear to him that if you're not going to be clear, I'm out of here.
Wow.
And he was just, I think he was a bit baffled, like, why would you be so extreme? But I moved to Johannesburg. I started working here. I'm like, a new kind of season I'm in. And we continued being friends.
Yeah.
But it gave us a bit of distance. He thought about it. And didn't he just step up and clarify the relationship? And yeah, just let me know that he wants to date me, wants to marry me. And yeah, that's when we started dating. So I think it's important in the beginning, when there are feelings, for me, that was my approach, to be clear or to ask.
And Rudzani, what are the signs of approval? There's this thing that's going on where the girls are probably told, and like I said, I don't know where it's coming from. It's probably just the dating culture that's there. But what are the signs of approval? You're told as a girl that, you know, in the 2 weeks, there's a 2 weeks rule that you do not initiate anything. Your job is to approve. You know, in the sense that you don't initiate calls, you don't initiate texting, and I'm here and I'm like, I will talk to whomever I want to talk to. But, you know, in that situation where Linda is at, and she's looking for signs of approval to say, we do have something, you're just not my homegirl, you're just not my friend. What do you think those signs are that we need to, as single people, we need to be watching out for?
Yeah. I think from the friends that I spoke to in preparation for this, if it's not...
Yes!
From the single men that I'm representing, if it's not communicated, it doesn't exist. I think that's the unfortunate reality. You know, so I think, you know, when a girl is obviously being very straightforward in intent, what are we? I think the other flip side of it is an openness and an acceptance that rejection can come. So it's not guaranteed that this person will say, we are this, as the stories we have here, right? Often, more than not, it's, we are just homegirls, that's it, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing else, there's nothing more.
We're children of God.
We're children of God. You know, so I think whoever kind of initiates that conversation has to be open to the possibility and the reality of rejection, but also not to allow the rejection to mean more. Like, you don't want to be rejected and you say, oh, you know, I'm unlovable, right? But you want to take it as, that's just what it is, and it's something that you can move from and move to the next thing. So the friend of mine that I was chatting to about it, particularly about that, he had, you know, he said this girl was, you know, very beautiful, very attractive. Everyone in the Connect group expected them to get together because there was fire, you know, everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, those people could burn this whole room down, you know, if they entered. The sparks were flying. But he said that every time he interacted with her, it was clear their values were not aligned. So he was never going to date her, even though he was attracted to her. And she made a lot of first moves to try and encourage him and so forth. But he had already made up his mind that he's not going to date her because their values are not aligned.
Okay.
It wasn't about attraction.
Yeah.
Whereas she thought because the sparks are there, it means there can be something.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's engaged to someone else at the moment, so it's like super awkward for everyone in Connect Group who was rooting for this relationship, right? So I think it's just that possibility, of rejection being there. So I think the clearest, statement of intent is communication, from either the male or and whoever initiates the communication has to be open for the possibility of a rejection. Yeah. Because it doesn't always go right. Often it doesn't, right? But also if you also shift the scenario of, of dating to also virtual worlds, online worlds, I think the signs are exactly that. Communication, you swiped on my picture, you started actually chatting and so forth and so forth. So I think that communication and clarity is always the, the easiest to discern.
Yeah.
And then the one girl also mentioned that, you vibe, you have everything, and then you get ghosted.
Yeah, it's happening.
Or you go to the movies, you see him with someone else.
Yeah.
So there isn't any right to each other just because there are sparks. It has to be communicated and communicated clearly.
Okay, and I want to double click on the point that you made that the girl was intentionally trying to help him out to say, hey, here I am, see me, I'm here. It's either, you lie at the foot of boys, just to try and help him out, right? And I don't think the culture has changed much. And this is what these days they call shooting the shot. And is it wrong to say, and I don't know, I mean, a lot of people, when they say that, he told me that I'm his home girl, there seems to be a certain pattern within the guys that if she asks these questions, it's kind of like she's initiating something. And I want to have the upper hand. And I don't know whether in my, my reasoning is correct in that, to say, and oftentimes it's like, we'll see where we go with this one, but this is what we are at this point in time. So what do you guys think on shooting your shot? I'm a girl, I'm sitting on the side, and I'll be like, I see what I want, and I want what I see. Do you think that it's masculine for a woman to do that? I hear yeah on that. Yeah, I don't know who wants to return you one up. Yeah?
I can get it started. I think women have been shooting the first shot for the longest of times, right? Whether it's the woman at the feet of Boaz, right? That's a shooting of the first shot. Whether you look at, sort of classic literature where Shakespeare will talk about the woman dropping her scarf or something when she walks past an attractive man that she's interested in, then the intent is for him to pick up the scarf and say, oh, ma'am, you dropped your scarf. Oh, that was nice. Can I buy you a coffee just to say thank you? So that is a form of shooting the first shot. I don't think there's anything wrong with shooting the first shot. I think it's just always, of course, right? You have to be open to the reality of rejection, and nobody wants to be rejected. But unfortunately, this is a reality of the, of the dating game, right?
Yeah.
Is that people can accept, etc. So, of the guys that I spoke to, regarding kind of shooting the first shot and how that could actually go down, most of them, in most of the cases, they didn't respond to the first shot being shot because they were not attracted to the girl. So it wasn't about the shot being It was just that it was shot by a person they're not interested in. But where they were interested, they were receptive of that particular shot, and that led to more conversations and discussions and so forth. It enabled a flow of conversation. And then others, I think, also felt like it can be, depending on how the shot is shot, it can also appear like, why are you so easy, what's actually going on there? Are you just a loose woman? What's actually going on? So some of them, it created skepticism, sort of in them. But it wasn't, it's not one color, I think it's multiple colors that are visible, at least from the guy's perspective, receiving these first shots.
Okay.